There's two main reasons you may have clicked onto this video. The first one is that you want to just make better replay renders, which is completely understandable, and that is the whole purpose of this video. But the second one is you might have figured out that big Minecraft YouTubers actually use the replay mod to create cool time lapses. The reason why this mod is so useful is because you don't actually have to have an alternative account, and that is where you have a second account which records any still time lapses for you. And you don't have to buy an account. This is all completely for free, so it's definitely a no-brainer to be using it. I've done a video in the past going over the best ways to use the replay mod to take full advantage of it. I'm just going to leave a link to it up at the top right hand corner. It should be somewhere up here. But this video is going over things what you can use to improve your actual experience using the mod, and also to make better renders, make them more clear for you exporting them, and then also to save time in the future, because some of these are actually very useful and you might not know about them unless I tell you. Before I jump into the rest of the video, if you do like what you see, please do leave a like. It helps push this video out into YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see any other tips and tricks on the replay mod, just leave a comment down below. Finally, if you click that subscribe button, you won't miss any other videos that I do on the replay mod. But other than that, let's just jump into the video. The first tip that I'm going to be giving is that you should turn off your auto record. This is enabled by default and starts recording automatically as soon as you load up your world or jump onto a server. Sometimes I only play a world for a minute and then switch to another world and end up with a load of replays which are a few seconds long, and I have to manually go through deleting each of them. But the main reason behind turning off this option is to reduce the recording length on each file. If you play on your world for an hour and only want to film a replay at a specific point, you'd end up spending extra minutes searching through the replay to find that one point, compared to having a 5-minute replay where all the footage is actually useful. Another useful point is that when the replays become larger, it will also take more time for the game to load it in, and it can cause issues where Minecraft crashes. If you know what you want to record beforehand, just click the record button and then stop recording after you finish what you're doing. You can also start and stop recording as many times without leaving your world, which is something you might not be aware of. There are a few instances where you might want to record everything you do, but you can still do that just by clicking the record button as soon as you jump into your world. The second tip is actually making thumbnails for each render file. Now you might be a bit confused, and you might think that I'm talking about YouTube thumbnails right now, but I'm not. I'm actually talking about the preview window when you load up a replay. If you're someone like me who records multiple clips and has a number of replays to look through, and you can forget sometimes which replay you've actually loaded up and waste time reopening them, when you load up your replay, simply click the N key and it will take a screenshot of what is on your screen. Now, when you leave your replay, it will be previewed instead of it being a black screen. Like I said at the beginning, it can be confusing when you just have black screen, so when you have a picture once you've used your file, that indicates that you've actually used it, so you don't need to go back onto it without having to delete it in case you do want to go back to it in the future. Now on to tip 3, and this is arguably actually the most important tip, and that is to not quit out of Minecraft too quickly when you finish playing. I've done this on a number of occasions, and this has caused a number of problems as well. If you've been playing in your world for a long amount of time and have multiple recordings and leave your world, you need to wait until the replay loading at the top right has disappeared. If you just quit out of the game instantly, you will either lose the file completely and won't be able to recover it, or you'll get extremely lucky and be able to recover it, but all of the replays that you separate will be put into one file and you have to look through extra footage, which isn't great either. But 9 times out of 10 you will actually lose the footage, so make sure that you give some extra time to process the files to prevent this from happening. Now on to tip 4, and this is more about having actually high quality videos than anything else. So you want to match the replay mod export settings to your video software export settings. Everybody's export settings will vary due to the settings which you upload your videos to YouTube at. For example, if you're only planning on rendering your videos in your editing software at 720p and only at 30 FPS, then you should only render your replays using the same settings. This will make it easier to render the clip, reduce the file size, and make it easier to edit it later on. If you was to make a render at 4K at 60 FPS and still upload it at 720p, you're just making it harder for the editing software to scale down the clip and make your life harder for no reason. For my videos, I upload everything at 1080p and at 60 FPS, and this is the settings that I personally use to render my videos at. I'm not 100% sure whether or not my bitrate is perfect, but I know that it does produce very good quality videos, and it's not too high and it's not too low. You can change it yourself and tweak it about, but I definitely still stick to keeping the same video resolution and frame rate that you're using for your editing software. And now we're on to the final tip, which is always watch back your replays before moving on to the next one. And this is extremely important and shouldn't be overlooked. If you're going out of your way to make replay renders, you want to make sure it looks the best. There are a number of things that can go wrong, and you might have missed it if you don't watch it back before using it. I'm not going to list everything that could possibly happen, but one thing that I personally don't like is when my camera passes through a wall when you don't want it to, and makes the clip look less smooth. If you watch the replay straight away after rendering it and find any issues, you can simply just change some of the keyframes and position the camera elsewhere to solve your problem without having to waste time reopening the file. Sometimes you might have multiple renders in one file and have to delete the old keyframes, and then you might notice issues with it later on and then have to go back and redo the whole thing again, causing you to spend unnecessary time which you could have just saved simply by actually watching back your footage straight away. I do hope that you find these tips useful, and like I said at the beginning of the video, if you do, please just leave a like, it will help push this video into the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see any other videos or tips on the replay mod, just leave a comment down below. Other than that, subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any other videos, and I shall see you later.